Hey everybody, welcome to Cerwin Vegas. And today I have a video to do on, well, something I don't like to do videos on. One of my goals for this channel is I want to try to keep everything as transparent as possible. So if mistakes have been made, if I make a mistake, or maybe give some bad information, as soon as I am made aware of it, if it is true and I got it wrong, I want to make sure that I get that information out. I like doing, obviously, all the restoration videos and fixing everything and making videos on all the great working Cerwin Vega speakers. And sometimes things happen. In the case of this D-9 restoration that I did, I had a few mishaps with, well, two mishaps now, with the 15.2WR woofer in the D9. Well, first off, we'll put it this way. I lost a woofer. This, an original Cerwin Vega cone. I was just doing some work in the shop. I had music playing. These are the speakers I use every day. And it wasn't, I wish it was a cooler story that I had them just cranked and I popped a woofer, but unfortunately I was just listening to music at a moderate level. And then I thought I want to say I heard a little bit of a popping. Not continuously, because I remember checking back and everything sounded fine, continued on with my work. And yeah, it was probably like a few minutes after that popping noise that I'd heard, a different song came on, so I went over to my stereo and I went to turn it up a little louder, like I do, well, quite often. And I turned my head and I was watching this speaker in particular, as I do when I'm trying to, push them. I like to watch the cone. I know I can gauge visually if I'm pushing the speaker too much, and it wasn't moving. So I checked the right channel. Oh, the one on the right was working. So immediately not thrilled, hoping that maybe just a connection had come off. Maybe I forgot to pinch the wire terminals once I got them onto the woofer. I know the ones I use are kind of loose sometimes, and I got to give them a squeeze to fit tight on there. So I was quick to jump up there and pull the woofer out. And nope, still connected. Mids and tweeters are still running, so we got a problem with the woofer. Good chance that it was the driver itself, seeing as everything else seemed to be working properly. So I unhooked it and got my multimeter on it. Went to go ohm it out and it was infinite. There was no reading. So somewhere it had came disconnected. So then my next thought is, well, because it was original, maybe something had come apart inside. Maybe see here, like the lead wires running to the terminal on the outside are generally soldered in right close to the cone, or by the, they're soldered to the voice coil lead wires anyways, hoping, well, maybe one of those came apart. Negative. They were still connected and tight. I tried to get a reading from poking in on there. Nothing. Couldn't get anything. It actually got to the point where I started actually peeling the former back of it. At this point, I know what's got to happen, but just trying to see if I can get something to go, and nothing. So, well, first off, I'm going to point this out if you haven't noticed already, where the dust cap was to, on the inside where the dust cap was covering is actually the original color of this cone. This is not something I do very often. The other woofer I had with these D9s would have been a newer style cone. It'd be very similar to like a recone from Cerwin Vega, when those were still available. and it's more black than this one. This one kind of had the different tint to it, almost kind of like a greenish, bluish, faded cone, which I really like. But I only had one, and it looked goofy, the two of them. So I decided I was gonna put some, it was actually like a liquid shoe polish is what I ended up using. It did work okay. Like with one coat, it covered it pretty good. Like as you can see here, like, but you can also see it wasn't perfect. You can, yeah, so I'm sure another coat probably would have helped that. Again, I'm not a fan of adding or covering the cone with anything. Just basically anything you're gonna do to add or take away mass on that whole structure, but as much of a difference it's really gonna make, you're probably not gonna hear it. So, because I was planning on keeping them for myself and not selling them, I thought, well, whatever. It was bugging me, so cosmetically I thought, it'd be a little better to hit this with that shoe polish. Not that I'm not saying that that's why this happened, I doubt it. But I was just explaining why those are two different colors. So originally this 15-2WR, when I got the D9s, at first, I didn't notice an issue until I kind of started playing around with them and just testing everything, pushing them and whatnot. And I started to hear some coil rub, and they had been refoamed, and I figured out right away that it wasn't centered. So I did have to recenter the voice coil, and I did so just by heating up underneath the frame where the foam surround and gasket gets glued to. And then I did the test tone thing, and I ran a test tone through it, and then I just kind of moved it around. And, the heat made the glue, you know, once it got warm, it kind of like, almost like it melted a bit, and I was able to move it around. And then I got it centered in a way where it was not rubbing anymore. And then the glue sets on its own after there's no more heat being put to it, and then it kind of re-glues itself back down. And it was a success. It worked good. It centered the coil quite well. No rubbing either way around. It didn't matter where I pushed it, it didn't get any rubbing. I had used these, I mean, it hasn't been that long, but I'd used them quite a bit in that short time and pushed them hard in that short time. And I'm not wondering if that maybe had something to do with it. Who knows how long that cone had been rubbing for. Maybe there was finally enough damage there where the coil maybe came apart, or I don't know. There's no rubbing. Like, it doesn't work, and there's no resistance when I check it, and it's quiet as can be. So I'm really interested to see what happened to that. I'm gonna be digging into that soon, and I wanted to do that right away. Unfortunately, my workbench is piled full of speakers right now, and you guys will find out pretty soon. I'm working on my next video, or my next planned video anyways. So not a whole lot of room really to kind of start ripping stuff apart there. So I'm gonna wait, but I just wanted to update you guys that I did have a failure on that woofer. So I had a spare. That's what's sitting in there right now, and if you can see the dust cap, it is not straight, and it's driving me nuts. But I'm trying to ignore it for now because I know it's not staying in there. And it just happened to be the way I screwed the new woofers in, and it was slightly off. But I reconed this one, and there's a problem with that one too. When I got that woofer, it was a single damaged unit when I bought it. And when I took it all apart, I wasn't able to get a height of how much of the windings were actually in the magnet gap. So I guessed, like an idiot. And actually, no, you know what? I think I followed Simply Speaker's instructions that they give you, but I mean, that's a generalized rough measurement. And then who knows, maybe I was off a bit. It seemed fine, it worked fine, it was good. I used it actually for quite a while, and it wasn't until I did some videos and stuff, and I was really starting to push it. And all of a sudden I heard snap. I knew that wasn't good. I knew what it was right away, but I was really hoping it wasn't. And I did, I pushed that cone in, and I was like, I think it's bottoming out. I was pretty sure that the voice coil had bottomed out on the magnet, and I was pushing and pushing and pushing with the speaker off, and I couldn't get it to hit. And then, I'm confused. So that's two things now that I don't know what the cause was. But later down the line, I started hearing it again and again and again, and I'm like, okay, something's wrong. It started happening more frequently. And really, my guess is like everything was starting to work in, stretch out, the spider, everything was starting to break in, and it was easier and easier for me to slam that voice coil to the bottom, and that's exactly what was happening. So not only do I have one woofer that quit working, which sucks because it's the original one, and I'm gonna have to recone it, I also have to recone a recone. I'm not super proud of myself about that one. But I'm doing this video because you guys, the height you set that voice coil at when you're reconing, it is super crucial, and make sure when you're recording or if you're reconing that you know how much of the voice coil, like the windings themselves, you need to know how much are actually sitting in that magnet gap. You just double check and make sure, because for me in Canada here, by the time I get one of these kits here, it's $100 or more. Plus all the work to do. And that's not including any of the glue or stuff like that. So kind of sucks. I'm about 200 and some bucks down now. These things happen. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I just figured I'd make this video and share with you guys. I just want to keep as much good information as I can floating around out there, or give you guys as much good information as I can. I mean, this one, I don't see this one as my fault. That one is my fault. So I'm sure at some point I'm probably going to be dissecting that 15-inch woofer out of this D-9. And I will be sure to share with you guys, well, if I find the problem, or maybe I'll share with you whatever I think maybe the problem was. But until I open it up, I'm not really going to know. I'll have to get 2 kits on order, or just try to find other drivers. That would be nice. Maybe find one that matches mine perfectly. One of the newer versions. They're the exact same as the older, it's just the cone's a little different. Anyways, that's gonna do it for now. Remember, Cerwin Vega, big or small, save them all.